Okay.
All right.
Another thing that happened in this race that people sort of complained about was the team orders from Red Bull,
Yes.
from Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez.
Hmm.
What do you think of that? I don't know if you have any thoughts. I can go a little
Oh,
more in depth.
no, big time. I mean, this is really this was a cherry on top of the cake at the end of the weekend where I was feeling like this weekend suck. Not because it wasn't fun, not because it wasn't a fun race, but because my guy went out and like I wanted Leclerc. He was winning obviously, but then
Leclerc
no,
was definitely going to win that race.
I mean he had it, and I mean there was no way that anything could have happened except for that for him to lose. Even like a safety car, I think at this point was completely fine. Um, anyway, so it, to me that kind of sucked because like okay, so I was like okay, Leclerc is out, but at least Verstappen, there may be some drama between Checo and Verstappen now that he's catching up to him, but then he just catches up to him and they're like let him go, and it's kind of like I mean all right, as a team I can understand that decision, but if I'm Perez, I'm like the fuck is going on, because Perez is still fighting for the championship. I mean
Yes.
he's literally like well, before this weekend, he was less than 20 points away from Verstappen. So, like, conceivably, he is in the race for the championship as well.
Yeah.
So, why would you ask it? Like, how do you think a driver will feel that is on those conditions? Like, maybe possibly fighting for a championship, and you're telling him, like, no, we're not gonna give you victory. We're gonna give the other guy the victory, and you don't even get to race him. I don't know. I think that's pretty infuriating. It's probably
Yeah.
again like the right call for Red Bull, but you know.
I thought so I didn't get too angry until later on in the race. Like I think Perez was stuck behind Russell for a while, and Perez had DRS
Mhm,
and couldn't get past Russell for a couple of laps.
mhm,
Verstappen was second place at that point, and then Verstappen made the uncharacteristic mistake.
mhm.
He went off and then got overtaken by George and Sergio. And my thought was like, okay, Verstappen is probably going to catch up to Perez and to Russell. And then they're going to tell Verstappen to let him pass so Verstappen can overtake Russell easy, like,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then he can keep going on his race. And then Perez will then try to get Russell because Perez had been trying to get Russell for a couple of laps already.
Mhm.
So I think Verstappen was like 3 seconds behind Perez, or 3 to 5 seconds after he made the mistake.
Yep.
And then Verstappen caught up to Perez. And then they told him, let him pass. I think they also told him at that point in time that if Verstappen doesn't get past Russell, that they were going to swap the cars back.
No, what's up?
That's what they told Perez. And so Verstappen got ahead of Perez, and then Verstappen couldn't overtake Russell. And then also there's the issue that like, well, he can't overtake him because his DRS is fucked up.
Yep. Mhm.
So I think Red Bull put themselves in this predicament where like we
Mm.
know that Verstappen can overtake Russell, but his DRS is fucking up,
Yeah.
and Perez is now upset because he's seeing that Verstappen is not able to overtake Russell, and now you're damaging his race.
Yep.
And you're saying that the guy in front is also not capable of getting the job done. And it's not really the guys in front, like it's not Verstappen's fault either. He's trying his best, but his car is not working.
Yeah.
So Red Bull kind of like shot themselves in the foot there, and they upset both drivers, and they're trying to appeal to like Verstappen, like we know it's not your fault. Try pressing the button once, like don't go
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Verstappen is furious as well.
Yeah. Because at this point in the race, also Leclerc was winning, and like
Yes.
you could tell that Verstappen was like tilting, like he was raging because he couldn't do anything, and like I mean not a lot of the radio was shown on the TV, but like on the little bits that you could hear, it sounded like he was very stressed with
Oh
the
yeah,
situation.
Verstappen was very stressed,
Yeah.
like really upset. Like, and then you can see him almost like at some point, I think in turn seven, his car like went like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like had because I feel like after Leclerc retired, he was like, oh, I don't care
Oh,
anymore.
I don't
Yeah.
care. We're gonna be
Every,
fine.
everything's good. Everything's good. Who cares? As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna win this race. So it's like I feel like that's the thing about the Leclerc incident that like really I feel like bummed me out. That it's not so much that like okay he loses points. I think he's still in good spirits. It's not his fault. It just happens. But it's as much as like it doesn't mess up like the Verstappen psyche, the mental. I feel because now I feel like he's just great. Now he's back ahead in the championship or ahead for the first time. Caught up in points, caught up on incidents, race wins and all that. And now I mean like this when he drives with an easy head, when he's not stressed at all, that's when Verstappen wins races. That's when Verstappen, is at his best. So the fact that like he got that boost mentally, it's really a bummer. It's really a bummer for me that like I mean I'm not rooting for Verstappen. Even though I do think he's the fastest driver. I mean in general I'm not a fan. So
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? This is a thing like obviously what Red Bull ended up doing obviously is that they pitted then Perez. I think they pitted Verstappen and then they pitted Perez really late, like almost forcing him to a one stop. I think they said at some point, and then like it turned out like the best like strategy
sure.
for the race was like a three stopper.
Yeah.
So Perez ended up having to do a race on a two stop. So Red Bull is like not even favoring the strategy towards Sergio either.
Yeah.
And this is like a thing, for example, that like I was saying, it's just a little too early in the season to define it. But also it's like, is it or is it not as to like whether team orders should be a thing? In 2002, for Ferrari, I'm pretty sure you remember the incident.
Mm-hmm. Between
But in
Barrichello and Schumacher.
between Barrichello and Schumacher in Austria in 2002. I think it was like the fifth or sixth race of the season. And Barrichello was winning the race and he was the second Ferrari driver. And then Schumacher, like the team explicitly, like there's a radio, you can look it up on YouTube where like the Ferrari team boss is like, Rubens, you need to let Michael pass for the championship. And I'm like, what? For the championship? We're like in the fifth race of the year. What are you talking about? And then Schumacher does, like Barrichello ends up like letting Schumacher overtake him on the last lap of the race on the main straight. And then everybody just boos Ferrari. And team orders were like very frowned upon for a very long time in Formula One because people want to see drivers race.
Yep.
If they tried banning team orders out of Formula One, where like you're not allowed to tell your drivers what to do, like when it comes to like racing, but they never were able to really do that. Like eventually it became like a coding thing. There's like also the famous incident that like is Felipe Massa and Fernando Alonso. That is like, Felipe, Fernando is faster than you. It's like,
oh yeah,
confirm that you get this message, And then like it's like, okay, so Fernando is faster than you just means like let Fernando fucking pass.
Yeah.
Or then there's the famous multi 21 from Red Bull, where they tell Sebastian is like, hey, Sebastian, this is like multi 21, which means that the second driver ends in front of the first driver. And Sebastian was like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to overtake him. And he disregards team orders, which were not allowed. But then Formula One realizes like, we can't stop teams from like, how do we know what's a team order and what isn't?
Yeah.
So now they just let team orders be a thing. It's just a part of the sport. But it's like, should they be implementing them so early in the season, Red Bull?
I mean, yeah, I don't think so. but it is. I mean, it's not a secret that like.
But so the question would be like
yeah.
The question is like, do you think Sergio Perez will fight for the championship, or is it gonna be Verstappen?
I don't know. I honestly, I guess I would say in this occasion, I know that like we want the controversy here, but in reality, it was probably the right call for Red Bull to do that. It just sucks because we didn't even get the fight, but like I'm like 100% sure that Verstappen would have just passed Perez.
Yeah.
Like no
Well,
question.
if
He
it would have
passed him and
been
then he just went a bunch of seconds ahead, like immediately. So
if it would have been Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, we would have seen the fight.
yeah, we would have seen because well, I mean, because Perez is too good of a teammate, I think, or like he like cooperates a lot, which as Verstappen, that's exactly what you want as your teammate, and that's the reason why like Ricardo was at odds with Red Bull is because that is the Max Verstappen team. It's not, I mean, it has two drivers, but they really are like putting all their marbles on Verstappen. So like if he's going faster, he has a faster car. Like they're gonna tell him like move out of the way. I mean, it's just what's gonna happen. Why? Because yes, I mean the fans hate it, but like it makes their number one driver happy, and like him happy is him winning championships. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Also, like we see it like now, like, oh, that's not like the right thing, but like how dumb does Red Bull then look later in the season if they lose the championship
yeah,
and everybody can point back to the Spanish Grand Prix? It's like, remember when you didn't let like Sergio Perez let Verstappen through? It's like
yeah.
you should have just told him, and you would have won the championship.
Mhm.
Like they would look really dumb if like you can pinpoint exactly which
The-
race they lost the championship on if they would have just given the team orders. So yeah,
exactly.
the teams are gonna do that. It's just part of the sport. It just sucks when it happens to a driver that you feel like that you like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the other thing is that it really doesn't happen a lot on other teams. Like the closer was like Bottas to Hamilton, but even then, Bottas was never really like I don't know. He was never really racing Lewis too much. If Lewis was coming faster, he would just let him by.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't know. I guess it was never really a question for
Like
Bottas.
Bottas tried to like be a little bit of a rebel, like, oh, I'm gonna go for the fastest lap in what was it, in Sandford, and then they told him abort, and then he still got it, and I'm like, you're like 13, like what are you doing? Like Bottas is like, I'm a rebel, I'm faster than Hamilton, bro. You're ending 13 this race. Like I don't know.
Yeah. No, I did feel bad for Bottas at the last few races, or I mean, or I guess I don't know for the last few years after
Yeah,
in Mercedes.
I don't think he was the greatest driver to be in Mercedes.
No, but he was fast. He was just not as fast as Hamilton. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, yeah, there were just times where like he had to like Lewis through. So a lot of times he looked like he was a Lewis wingman. But like, I mean, as we're
Now,
seeing now, he really can. He really is a fast driver, very fast driver.
yeah, to open a parenthesis on Bottas, I don't think he was that good in Mercedes. I think he's always been fast, but we've always said that his racecraft is
Not the
just
best.
really awful. He
Yeah.
doesn't know how to defend, and he doesn't know how to overtake unless he's significantly faster than the car in front of him.
Mhm.
So when he was in Mercedes, this was a couple of years ago because the regulations have changed a lot, but the cars had different engine modes.
Mhm.
Excuse me. So like on every engine mode, you can it's pretty much like turn the car up to 11 or turn the car down to like engine mode 1. So it depends on how much power you want to give the engine. And Mercedes have like the engine mode where like their 11 was like the better than everybody else's 11. So they could really turn up the engine, overtake all the cars, be in front, and then turn the engine down, and then people wouldn't be able to overtake him. It would be really difficult
Mhm.
because they would just defend. And Bottas was really good when that was a part of the sport. When like he could put the engine all the way to 11, overtake everybody, and try to win races, and that's when like Bottas challenging Hamilton and all of this happened. But then as soon as they're like, and you can pinpoint it, like exactly the period of time when he started sucking,
Mhm.
is when like they banned that. They were like, whatever engine you qualify on, whatever engine mode you qualify on, that's what you have to race for the entirety of the race.
Yeah.
So you can no longer put the engine on 11 an entire race, because eventually the engine will not last.
Yep.
It will die. So Mercedes were forced to like keep lower engine modes. And then you had the issue that happens in Monza. I think that was when Pierre Gasly won the race, where like Bottas was stuck the whole time, like in fourth or fifth place for the entire race. And I'm like, you're in a Mercedes. And then Lewis Hamilton came all the way from like 14 or from last place and got into the points almost. I think he overtook Bottas. I'm not even sure there. But like, it's like you have a driver that like you have similar cars, and then Hamilton is able to do it no matter the engine mode, and Bottas can't. Even though he's faster, he needs to be significantly faster to pass the guy in front.
Yeah.
So that's why like he's good right now. Bottas is really fast right now, but he's not all that good unless he has a definitely faster car than the other people.
And then he started like posting Instagram posts of like him and his engines and all that crap, like like I don't know, essentially blaming the team for from him not being faster. But I think it was always pretty obvious that he just, if he got stuck somewhere in the middle field, like he would be stuck there for a long time. Eventually, maybe sometimes he came out of it, but for the most part, he was stuck there for a long period of time, which never happens to Hamilton. For some reason, it never happens.
Well, it happened in this year in Imola when like he was stuck behind Pierre Gasly. But like in those years, it never happened to Hamilton, even though they were driving the same car. So can't say, Bottas can't say anything about that. It's like, I'm sorry, you're only fast, or you can only win races if you have like the engine turned to 11.
Yeah.
Anyway.